that I want you to immerse yourself in the vibrant spice markets and the alluring aroma of fragrant curries. This is the essence of India's culinary landscape, a rich tapestry of flavors orchestrated by an astonishing variety of spices, regional specialities, and age-old cooking techniques. From the fiery curries of the South India to the creamy richness of the Mughlai dishes of the North, Indian food presents a kaleidoscope of taste sensations, each more intriguing than the last. The anticipation of what awaits is part of the joy of this exploration. The popularity of Indian food is certainly undeniable. Did you know that the Indian food industry is valued at a staggering US $895 billion? This means that our cuisine clearly resonates with Western consumers who are becoming increasingly familiar with the menu staples like tikka masala and naan flatbread. In fact, Indian establishments have become the third most common restaurant type in the most visited cities globally. This trend is particularly strong in the area of New Jersey, New York, with Indian restaurants experiencing a growth surge driven by a rising demand for exotic and flavorful cuisine. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't about delicious food, but a cultural shift. Indian cuisine has slowly but surely found its way into the American hearts, and if I can say, stomachs. Take New York City, for instance, where the number of Indian restaurants has skyrocketed from a mere 20 in early 1980s to over 300 in 2015, and I'm sure perhaps much more now, offering a vast array of dishes from across the subcontinent. This explosion in popularity has led many to declare Indian cuisine as the next ethnic food trend, and with good reason. The rich tapestry of flavors, diverse regional specialities, and unique cooking techniques promise an exciting culinary adventure for all. Friends, while chicken tikka masala may be a familiar favorite, Indian cuisine offers so much more. Let's explore some hidden gems. I'm sure you must have had dosa. There are so many Indians, I'm sure you must have had dosa, a South Indian staple, or perhaps biryani, a fragrant rice dish layered with meat, vegetable, and spices, a culinary masterpiece with countless regional variation. Chaat, a symphony of textures and flavors, encompasses various street food snacks from savory samosas to the tangy pani puri. And for a complete meal on a single platter, look no further than to the thali, showcasing the diversity of regional flavors with selection of curries, vegetables, lentils, and bread. India's culinary journey doesn't end with food. We boast a rich tradition of beverages and spirits that complement and enhance the dining experience. Chai or tea, a strong spiced beverage enjoyed with milk and sugar, is the soul of Indian streets. Lassi, a refreshing yogurt-based drink, has a sweet and savory variant to cool the palate. Filter coffee, a South Indian specialty, is a strong and aromatic and often enjoyed with generous helping of condensed milk. However, the Indian food and beverages are not just about tradition. They are also about innovation and bold exploration. A new wave of Indian food offerings is taking the world by storm with exciting and unexpected offerings. Once considered a humble grain, millets are now hailed as a superfood and find their way into everything from breakfast cereals to healthy snack mixes. Ladies and gentlemen, traditionally consumed roasted or in sweets, foxnuts or makhana, are now available in various ready-to-eat flavored options, making healthy snacking more convenient and delicious than ever. The frozen food market is booming with delicious and convenient options like samosas, naan, parathas, allowing busy families to enjoy a taste of Indian food in minutes. Indian craft beverages are making a name for themselves, with single malt whiskies winning international awards and a growing selection of locally brewed beers. Friends, our vision is to create a collaboration that opens new pathways for growth, development, and opportunities for Indian food and beverage producers and the esteemed restaurant industry in Big Apple. Restaurants would gain access to a wide variety of authentic Indian ingredients, spices, and beverages. In contrast, Indian food and beverage companies would find a gateway to a large and enthusiastic consumer base. Moreover, food influencers would be able to explore and promote the exciting world of Indian cuisine. Our joint efforts can lead to a showcase of diversity of Indian cuisine by developing educational programs of restaurants and chefs to learn about authentic Indian cooking techniques and ingredients. We recognize the power of social media and its potential to create engaging content that promotes Indian food and beverages. Working with food influencers who understand the local palate, we can connect with a new generation of adventurous eaters. Indian food is not only about delicious flavors, but also the tradition and the values associated with the cuisine which truly captures the hearts and minds. We believe that the trend of increasing health consciousness, for the right reason, I'm sure, and curiosity about global flavors creates a perfect opportunity for the Indian cuisine to shine. Our objective is to bring the authentic Indian cuisine to every corner of the world, fostering an appreciation for the food itself and the story and the tradition that it carries. Collaboration between the restaurant industry, very well represented today, and the Indian food and beverages companies would create a mutually beneficial situation for everyone involved. Restaurants could expand their menus and attract new consumers and customers. Indian food and beverage companies could find a thriving market, and food enthusiasts could embark on a delicious adventure. Just as America embraced Asian, Italian, Mexican, and Vietnamese cuisine in the past, Indian food is also deep-rooted in New York. My dear friends, we extend an invitation to everyone to celebrate the magic of Indian cuisine and join us on this culinary journey together. Let us work to a future where the tri-state area becomes a vibrant hub for authentic Indian flavors, a place where every bite is a celebration of culinary creativity and cultural exchange. I thank you all. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, sir. Now let's dive into our first panel discussion. We have an illustrious lineup of speakers, each a luminary in their own right. It is my absolute honor to invite on stage Mr. Andrew Reggie. He is the Executive Director of the New York City Hospitality Alliance, an association serving and representing restaurants and nightlife venues throughout the 5 boroughs, and the CEO of the Impact Foundation. Ronnie Mazumdar. He is the innovative restaurateur behind Unapologetic Foods, restaurants that have set the New York City scene on fire. Ronnie is on the board of the New York State Restaurant Association, works on City Harvest Food Council, and with No Kid Hungry, whose mission is to end childhood hunger. In addition to numerous accolades, Crane's New York business honored him with placement on the prestigious 40 Under 40 class of 2020. Chef Prasad of Indian Kitchen and Market is organizing a 2-week culinary journey through India in November, featuring gourmet meals, dining at Michelin star restaurants, and guided tours of historical and cultural sites. Dr. Anjali Bhir, a PhD in American literature, who works as a project manager in AI. She is also an influencer with a platform called Toast to Taste, which has a following of almost 100K. And last but not the least, Chef Franklin Becker, founder and CEO of F. Becker Hospitality and a Culinary Institute of America alum. He brings 30 years of culinary experience and is responsible for iconic restaurants such as Catch and Local and Capital. Welcome you all. Our moderator for this session is Ms. Anu Sehgal. Ms. Sehgal is children's author and the founder of The Culture Tree, a cultural literacy and language education company that focuses on South Asia. She holds an MBA from Yale University and has worked in the corporate sector for almost 15 years. Over to you, Anu.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Pradhan, for hosting this event and then also having this amazing panel. So the way we'll go through this panel discussion is we'll ask a few questions and then we will open it up for questions from the audience. So my interaction with food is when I'm teaching children, and whether it's Indian children or children in general, about spices and Indian food through a platform called Food as Culture. So we do recipe making, we do mithai making workshops, and we represent all the aspects of the diverse foods of India. So my first question, and Andrew, maybe you can start it off, is, could you share your journey in the food industry and how you landed in your current position? And this question will basically be answered by all the panelists.
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. I, like many people in this industry, were, in a sense, born into it. Going back to my great-grandparents who escaped from Europe, somehow got to New York, to Brooklyn, ended up opening bakeries and cafes. So I remember when I was a young boy at 4:30 in the morning going in with my grandfather to the bakery and then taking a nap on a big bag of flour. And then over the years, I worked more. I worked in restaurants, ended up going to culinary school, but I also had an interest in just general consulting and politics, and I found a job about 20 years ago at the New York State Restaurant Association selling membership and recruiting restaurants to join a local trade association to represent their interests. And then fast forward a bunch of years, about 12 years ago, we stepped out and launched the Independent New York City Hospitality Alliance, which is an association that represents restaurants, bars, and nightclubs across the city to make sure that they have a hand in the policies that regulate their business, which we'll probably discuss a little bit more later. So I get to be in the hospitality industry, but also in this whole other sector that has an enormous influence on so much of the work that these folks do on a day-to-day basis.
Ronnie?
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you all for inviting us. I'm a little disappointed because I'm the only one in Indian clothes. What is going on? Like, this is unbelievable. I got the wrong memo. But the reason I started, in all seriousness, it really started because of my father, who was retiring. And like many elderly immigrants who are first generation in this country, you know, sometimes they lose track of what their future is like. And, mom and dad moved here for me, and so I thought rather than buying him a car, maybe think about something that's a little bit different. It was never about making a business or making money. It was more about my father's livelihood and just making sure that he's happy. But as we started that, a really small venture in the Lower East Side, I started to see so many people that are in this room that I respect so much. I mean, you have Payal sitting right there, Mr. Bhardwaj, Himmat Mathur. I mean, this is, Raja is back there. We're surrounded by amazing people who have truly blazed a trail. And I saw what they were doing. I just didn't think I was worthy enough to add anything to that, to be quite honest, because the restaurant we had was a typical quintessential Sun and Pop shop. It was just a couple of us kind of running it. But somewhere along the way, I met Chef Chintan, and together we built this whole idea of what is Unapologetic Foods today. Just really, feel blessed to be where we are, but I think we are standing, by all means, on the shoulders of giants that I mentioned. They've done the real work. I think I just arrived on the scene, so the credit goes to every single person in this room first.
Thank you. Chef Prasad?
Thank you. What a great honor to be here. I thank the Consul General for having us here. And Mr. Abhishek Singh, I mean, he said it all there. I mean, I was just sitting there salivating what he's talking about, spices and food and all that. It was a wonderful a wrap of Indian food from the centuries ago to current situation. You've done a great job on that. Nice, like that. My story comes from, I'm a family of doctors, so I didn't want to be a doctor. That's the last thing I wanted to do. Back in the early 80s, I decided to go to a culinary school in India because I love my mom and she's got some of the best hands in food. And I said, I'm going to stick to the food world and I'm going to get into the hospitality side. So I did go into a culinary school in Pune in India. And then one fine day I landed in 1986 in here, thinking I'll be landing in a nice black suit and sitting in a top of World of Astoria or Four Seasons, something like that. But the reality was I was hired by a beautiful restaurant in Long Island. I still remember. One of my ex-bosses is sitting right there right now. Back in 86, I was hired as a busboy. And then I've always taken my job to my heart. I feel a sense of ownership no matter what I do, whether it's your business or my business. And I've seen the scene of Indian restaurants are growing up there, but I thought there could be a lot more done. And I stepped into a small nutmeg state called Connecticut. And the rest is history. From then on, I've actually developed multiple restaurants. I think at some point I had about 8 running at the same day, which I have a lot of white hair right now. So, but it's been, one of my biggest challenge back then was finding the right help, right motivated people to work with you. I found that there was more eligible, more available in the Europe side, go to London and things like that. As we know, chicken tikka masala was the hottest menu item. And I said, this landscape can change. If French has done their way, Italians have done their way, the Mexicans have done their way, I said, Indians can definitely put this on the map. And I've started doing regional cuisine. In fact, I actually put my own mom's chicken curry on the menu, call it my mom's Andhra chicken curry. And we actually beat chicken tikka masala on sales most of the days, But it's all about education, and that's when we were blessed with a couple of James Beard Awards and the New York Times when they gave us 3 stars. They just didn't praise the food. They said this was an education in Indian cuisine. So that's what I believe in. Even today when I work every day, I say, let's learn, let's teach. Let's learn, let's teach. So I do a lot of fun stuff, but we'll talk about that later. Thank you.
Anjali?
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you so much. It is an esteemed honor for me to be on this panel and with all of you over here. So my journey, if I talk about it, it was ingrained since childhood. I come from a foodie house, and then it has been culture, tradition, food has been something which I had been very passionate since my childhood. And in 2019, because since I did not end up becoming as the panelist, as like into the food industry, I have been into artificial intelligence as a project manager. In 2019, I started my food page, Toast to Taste, through which I try to represent the rich heritage, culture, and the food of India. And that is what my passion is. And it has been like such a phenomenal journey, connecting with people, knowing so many people. And over here in the room, I feel so happy to know so many people. And it has been a good connection, networking, learning about culture, food, and representing it on my page and sharing it with the people. So that has been like the journey that I started with Toast to Taste, and I continue to represent India, the culinary landscape that I can do as a social media person.
Amazing. And I've worked with you, Anjali. It's been an amazing experience working with you.
Thank you.
Chef Becker?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. It's a real honor. My culinary journey began when I was 7. Unfortunately, at the time, my mom had a stroke, and she was paralyzed for about 1.5 years, and I was her hands in the kitchen. And then later on, I just stayed in the kitchen, and by 14, I was working in a restaurant. I went to college, didn't want to be another Jewish lawyer, and ended up going to culinary school after that, becoming a chef. I've won numerous accolades from Best New Restaurants in America. I was on Top Chef Masters season 5. And I believe strongly, I first got introduced to Indian flavors from Gray Kuntz. And then second, I was introduced by the late, great Floyd Cardoz. They were masters at the flavors and the textures that Indian food has to offer. And, whether it was topping a piece of fish with poha, which back in the early 90s or late 80s was revolutionary. Everything became bigger and better, and the flavors were bolder. And as a chef who really kind of prides myself on flavor and prides myself on trying to embrace cultures, that was super exciting for me. As exciting, if not more exciting, than the flavors of Korea or the flavors of Mexico. And I think that what India offers is just this new, and it's not new, obviously, it's old, but this new kind of just overarching experience that most American diners don't know. So if you can take it and impart it and put it a little bit into American cuisine, drips and drabs, slowly but surely, people will now start to go to Indian restaurants. People will now start to embrace the culture a little bit more. And I think that's kind of the way to go about bringing Indian food mainstream. And I do think it's the next great cuisine to come in New York.
Yeah, it's there. And that's a great segue into our next question. But before we go to our next question, if we can get hands up on how many influencers are here. And we should look around because this is also a networking event. How many influencers are here? And Anjali. Restaurant owners and chefs. Small business owners. And spirits owners. All right. So that's the representation. The entire gamut is here. So the next question is more about Indian culture and Indian cuisine is having a big moment, not only in the US, but the entire world. What do you think will be the next big trend for Indian cuisine? And how are our organizations pivoting to take into account these changes, which are changing very fast? So let's, who wants to, Andrew?
Well, this is more of a question for you then.
Sure. All right.
All right, Ronnie.
That's a loaded question.
All right. So By the way, this room seems pretty serious. We're just talking about food, guys. We're not on a one-way ticket to Mars. It's okay. Like, that's all.
So maybe do this. So in addition to those questions, everybody who loves restaurants, raise your hand.
There you go. Yes.
And loves to, exactly, there we go.
All right. So, look, I saw a bunch of operators here, and it's not that there's a silver bullet that's there that where we all know. There's no McKinsey in the world that knows what the trend is going to be. I think what the real trend is owning who we really are. And I think if there's one thing that we all are focusing on that's starting to happen now, that maybe somewhere we were not able to do so much before, was the very idea of what it is to be from a culture and actually own that and not shy away from it, not change it to cater to someone else. That means regionality matters. That means we're not here trying to take a dish from Bihar and trying to claim this is actually from another Punjabi dish that we're serving. Every restaurateur here has been doing it for many years, but I think it's this magical moment where beyond the restaurant, there's folks of South Asia who are in media. So there's a different understanding of what the food is like. There are conversations like these that are happening. I felt that in the last 20 years, a lot of people were playing the game by themselves. And I think it's now a far more collective and a team sport. Therefore, that game of owning who we are is going to change within the next decade.
Amazing. Chef Prasad?
Well, Ronnie said everything. I mean, there are so many great restaurant owners and chefs who are here. I think the moment is here. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Indian restaurants at this level in America. It's really hard to guess what's going to be the future, but I think it's all at play. Right now, there is a nice mix of beautiful restaurants in New York City is happening. I mean, Connecticut, it's a little different chapter there. But given what's going on right now in New York, I just open up my social media, anything else I see every morning. What Ronnie is doing, what Vikas Khanna is doing, what Rajesh is doing, what Hemant is doing, what Raja is doing. I mean, every time I turn around and we have Gupshup, Bar, I mean, Sharab, Kebab. I mean, these are some of the greatest names I hear. I mean, this was not there. I mean, you guys have actually elevated. I've taken this back in the days, saying that, listen, I mean, first and foremost, 30, 40 years back, within our own culture and within our own restaurant business, nobody was really willing to wear a white, clean chef coat like that and sit in front of the media. That's when I'm actually, from the hospitality, the front of the house person. So I've self-learned the food through travels and a lot of research. And I started wearing that white coat and start giving you interviews. And I always said, media is what can bring us back into the scene. Indian food can be popular. It is the greatest cuisine. It's the most colorful, very rich, and we don't even have to put any fake stuff on that. I mean, I'm actually one of the guys' first ones to do. There is no red or yellow colors in our food. I mean, our food is so beautiful. So, talk about the trends. I mean, the trends are, it's just not chicken tikka masala anymore. I mean, this guy has broken every bone in the fish and put it on the plate there. I think Rajesh at one point when he did his goat curry, goat on the bone, was one of the best curries award he won in America, New York. So I think the trend is hard to predict what's going to happen, but I think you got to put your soul, your heart out there, and feel that ownership, feel the pride that this is my food. I'm going to shine this on the plate. I mean, that's the future, I would say. And any cuisine. I mean, I love home cooking. I mean, I like to take, mother's recipe, auntie's recipes, things like that, and bring it on the plate, other than just what's in the books of the cookbooks.
And Chef Becker?
I think unapologetic foods, and no offense to any of the other chefs in the room. And by the way, I'm wearing my jacket because I have to run back to my restaurant. I have like 300 people on the books right now. But yeah, it's very nice, good problems, high-class problems. But what they're doing is just amazing. And, when I go to your restaurants, it's exciting. At every turn, there's something new that I haven't had, because I've had the tikka masalas, and I've had the biryanis, and I've had those dishes throughout every Indian restaurant. It seemed at one point as though every menu was the same. he's now taking that and he's twisting it, and he's not making any twists. He's just embracing the different regional cuisines and the different flavors and textures, and he's just embracing it, and he's making it new and fresh again. And I think at point 7, what we do is we'll do that for fish. There's no borders, you know, around the world. Point 7 means 70% of the earth is covered by water, and water flows freeform. So we don't have any borders. So we'll represent Mexican cuisine on the same menu as Italian dishes, as the same menu as Indian dishes, but we'll pay respect to the dishes and to the flavors that are unique and unique to my clientele. So I think that this is great, that you're pulling together kind of this think tank for Indian chefs. It's what we do all the time amongst our peers in the general chefs community. And I think that the more you can do that, the stronger and the greater the chance you have of succeeding in mainstreaming Indian cuisine.
Yeah. Well said.
Okay. I would say, like what Ronnie said, that regionality matters, and Chef Prasad said that the moment is here. I cannot agree more to that. Because as a content creator, when I have my audiences reach out to me, I have a whole diverse set of audience over here. They are, like if I say 90% are from New York area itself. But when they reach out to me, they talk to me like, can you please recommend the best Indian restaurants? They don't ask me some other restaurants. They especially ask, what are the best restaurants that you have in New York? And I have friends coming from San Antonio, and they're Americans, and they have a whole list of restaurants to catch up this coming week. And out of those 8 restaurants that they are going to, 6 of them are Indian restaurants. So the moment is there, and I cannot define it, that it is so nice having the culture and of India being represented to the food over here. And at the same time, I would say that I am trying through my page to collaborate with the regional cooks and the chefs, because that is the next thing that I really want to bring on my page, because it is not about the regular food by which India was initially identified with. It has gone deeper to the regional. People want to taste that. They want to know the culture and tradition. And that's what I want to represent on my page next. And I am coming up with few regional collaborations. So in case if you feel that we can work together, feel free to reach out to me for that.
Amazing. And Andrew?
I mean, I think just to round it out, one of the things that I've heard multiple people say, and even in the conversations earlier, you know, Ronnie mentioned the food from specific regions. And I think everybody can track back food, whether it was seeing your mother, your grandmother, or someone cook, and being part of that entire experience. So I think no matter where in the world you're from, you can often connect not only with the food, but the cultural aspects of preparing and consuming that food. And I think what the restaurateurs do is they take that, but they put it inside the walls of a restaurant, so strangers can come together and have this incredible experience of that food, of that culture, and basically, you know, like they say, break bread together. And I think one of the things that I just see here that just jumps out at me, whether it's tastes or just visuals, is I look at the flowers here, I look at the colors of the food on the dishes on the screen. I look at the flag. I look at Ronnie's beautiful outfit, his orange wristband. It all comes together in this experience. And then I'm thinking of the music, where people want to have this experience, whether it's something they grew up with or it's something that they're experiencing for the first time. And I think New York City is just the most incredible place to give people those experiences, whether it's for the 100th time or the first time.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm going to open it up to any burning questions that are there. If you can tell us your name, organization, and then your question, but please keep it brief. Why don't you just stand up and project out loud?
I sing, so I can do that as well. My name is Kunal Lamba. Today I'm in the capacity of a restaurant consultant. I also own a restaurant. I've been a restaurant GM for 20 years of my life in 3 continents, including Michelin star French restaurants and Michelin star Indian restaurant. Our chef is right there. So I'm pivoting to Ronnie because everyone is pivoting to Ronnie. Ronnie said I used to run a mom and pop shop, and then I met Chintan on the way. Most of the successful restaurants are based on the successes and the caliber of a chef. Unfortunately, as a restaurant consultant, the biggest problem which people come to me is, can you find me a chef? And with the people who make the laws for immigration, some of them being here, or there is no real visa to get chefs from India except O1, which is very difficult. And the current generation of American kids do not want to be Indian chefs, I feel, unless, if I'm wrong, correct me. So how do you think this problem is going to be solved, you panelists? Where are we going to get the chefs from?
No, I think it's a tremendous point. It's been on my mind for a long time. Guys, if you look at, let's say, Thai cuisine, it's a much smaller country, but it's delivering hits after hits for a reason. Because there's a comprehensive law and a system and an infrastructure that exists where there's a pool of talent that we're able to pull from. And to your point, you're 100% right. Believe me, thank you for giving me the credit. I take none of it. Every success of Unapologetic Foods, that's Chintan, that's Chef Vijay. These are the guys who are doing the real work. I just put on this attire and come here and talk. It's nothing. But in all seriousness, I think there needs to be a far deeper way of looking at it from a talent pool. If there's one single problem this industry faces, is anybody who's going to CIA coming out of India actually feels a little bit cooler because they want to cook a different cuisine. They would rather cook, and I've had conversations with chefs, it's more exciting for them to cook Thai food, not Indian food. Somewhere our branding and that entire infrastructure and the channel is missing. So I think hopefully we're in the same room and we can solve that. Yes, you're going to solve it?
So I think that what you have to do is you have to have ambassadors. Chintan is obviously, a genius, but you have to have ambassadors that come out and travel back to India and recruit and spread the genius of what's happening in America, or vice versa, right? Bring the Indian chefs here and let them come to different restaurants that are held in high regard and let them kind of do an exchange. Back in 2006, I did something called Food and Fun in Iceland. So they flew over 16 of us from the US over to Iceland, and we all took over restaurants for the week, and then we did a food and culinary competition. And we immersed ourselves in Scandinavian cuisine, in Icelandic cuisine, and they immersed themselves with some of the ideas that we were coming to, having kind of being blind, coming to these ingredients, because back in 2006, Icelandic food was new. If you take a bunch of American ambassador chefs over to India and you let them start to see the culture and start to kind of embrace the different flavors that were paved by Floyd or paved by Gray Kuntz, if you start to bring them over and they start to experience all these ingredients that they otherwise wouldn't have known, and they start to experience authentic regional cuisine, and they start to now put that on mainstream menus, then people will now start to go to more Indian restaurants because they're familiar with the flavors in American restaurants. And so it becomes like just kind of cross-pollination. You have to bring bees produce honey, you have to bring the bees to the flowers.
I think, Kunal, it's a great question, and I've been facing that for not 2 years, but for the last 30 plus years, right? I've done some recruiting like that, actually, went into India, pre-advertised hiring positions and all that. I've interviewed and all that. One of the biggest problem we have is the visa process. the biggest, I would say like Europe in general, like London and all, they had a lot of talent there because it's a lot easier process of immigration where they can come in on work visa or whatever that is. We've done quite a few back in the day. I had more than 200-300 people working for us and few in the H1 positions and all that. But it's a process. I mean, you want to open the restaurant tomorrow. You don't have 5 years or 2 years waiting for that one person to come in. But I wish the government between US and India does some kind of collaborative work saying that, hey, this is a specialty profession. It's no joke. It's very serious. They sacrifice their lives. And if they're going to represent India in the culture and the food, we should have a better processing system, not just all visas. I mean, whether it's green cards and things like that. I think this is something we should feel it, and we should look into that seriously. I mean, your ideas are great. Like, I know about the Iceland thing. I was actually one of the chefs who was planning to go for that. Schedule conflict, I couldn't make it, but it's great. Iceland does it, England does it. These are great things to do. But I think Japan does it, absolutely. But I think we need real cooks. We need real chefs to come and, I mean, I have so much in my head, but I alone cannot do that. I mean, we need those multiple hands. I mean, we have 300 dinners tonight. I mean, you can't do it yourself. You need those great hands. And I think if the governments can put their hands together and think about this is as serious as a medicine or an architect or a software business. This has to be considered, and we should look into that processing system.
So on Instagram, my handle is Political Foodie NYC. So I'm going to give you my political, food, and NYC take on that question, which is an extension of what they all just said. And everyone in this room is taking the first step. When I saw all the restaurateurs put up their hand, the fact that they're in this room means that they care. What we do at the New York City Hospitality Alliance is we organize the industry because we realize whether it's related to immigration, a permit, a license, some specific law that impacts your business, our industry will have no voice in the process of how that law is developed, how it is changed or eliminated, unless the organization and industry is not organized. So I'll give you a perfect example. There was a separate Japanese restaurant association in New York City that became a member and a chapter of the New York City Hospitality Alliance. And there were issues that were specifically impacting mostly Japanese restaurants. Some are related to alcohol laws, as was mentioned earlier, the distribution of Japanese, produced spirits. There are also things related to bare hand food contact with raw fish, sushi. So the reason I say that is I think that just within this room right now, there is an incredible power in all of your voices to organize and getting involved in an organization like the Hospitality Alliance or others and working on it and going to government leaders and saying, if we want to continue to be the greatest restaurant capital in the world that showcases all of these different types of cuisines, we need the talent and we need policies to encourage more people to get into this sector. Because a lot of what you have is a policy issue, or I should say lack of policy that encourages and enables all of what you want to happen. So I think that it's possible. We see what happened recently with the migrants coming mostly from South America, but also from Western Africa now. We had to lobby and advocate to expedite work authorization. So it's possible. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes work, but the fact that you're all here together, talking to each other, praising each other, means that you have basically the foundation to do it. And hopefully it'll be even easier for the next generation. Like many of you blazed the path for Ronnie and others. You can all now blaze the path for that next generation.
You have to do one thing that I think is super important. If you don't send over delegations to actually let people know that there's a community out there that's going to support them. Think about traveling to another country. Think about the first time you came to the United States. Okay, if you didn't have family or friends or a community to support you, you would be, pretty hesitant to do that, right? You'd really not. It's taking a big leap of faith. So if you're an Indian chef in a community, you want to know that there's other Indian chefs in the country that you're going to that can speak the same language, that can taste the same tastes, that can do all the things that you need to do to support you, and you're not alone. So I think you have to, you really have to go back and forth with delegations, and that should be funded by the government, truthfully, to kind of like support that initiative and let all of this happen almost organically.
I think, do we have time or we're out of time? Maybe one more question. Okay.
Hi, my name is Karna Deshmukh. I'm co-founder of Ambo. It's a bowl place, fast casual Indian everyday bowl place. And I have a couple of questions. First of all, that was the question inspired me to get into the field. I'm a mechanical engineer turned entrepreneur, and the other two partners are chef. So I think it's long time due that standardization is needed in Indian food industry in a way that Chipotle is doing or Kawa is doing. And my second question to the dignitaries here is that it's long time due that there is a IPO in Indian food industry, not even in India it exists. So when do you think that is going to happen in our industry? Because there are Chipotles, Kawa who are as big as anybody can get. And due to that standardization, maybe that is the lacking point. And the last point, I want to take this opportunity because stalwart of this field are here. I have a big problem since I'm in this industry. Whenever I go home, my fiance complains about the smell of food, and which I bring with me with my clothes. So, how did you guys counter that problem?
So maybe we can just do one response, Ronnie.
Sure. I'll summarize it quickly. Find a new fiance, step one. Number two.
She used to work with Consulate, so I think.
So, number two, I think it's not that far from now that we're going to see an IPO happen. And one of them just might be the guy sitting in the back. His name is Basu Ratnam. He's running an amazing place called Inde. Guys, what an inspiration. It's 6 more locations coming up. I think when we talk about Indian cuisine, we end up always talking about the restaurant format, full service. But Indian food can be expressed in so many different ways. And when you think about scalability, it's the format that he's doing that's really going to take it to the next level. So I think within the next 5 years or so. Basu, how long? What do you think, man? Come on, work a little harder. Sorry, go ahead.
There are some in California, San Jose, they have some, I don't know if they're IPO yet, but they have duplicated concept of the concept.
Yeah.
There are a few of those.
There's been scalability with like Curry Up Now, et cetera, but I think this is that moment. I think it's in striking distance for all of us. And what was your third question, sir? You lost me at the curry smell. No, sorry? Yes. Perfect.
All right, so that is all the time we have. You can, if you have any other questions, we will have a session, networking session, in which you can ask your questions. But now we are going to transition to the spirits panel. And then after that, we will be able to taste all the delicious food and spirits that are being represented here. Thank you very much.
One thing I want to say.
Yes, Chef Prasad.
One last thing. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I'm one of those chefs. I want to bring people together, chefs together, restaurateurs together. Last couple of years, I've been doing a lot of collaborated events, bringing other chefs of other cultures and other cuisines, Indian, American, Latin, French. I've done several, and I've just started doing some Indian series. I think Chef Hemant Mathur will be in June 20th cooking. We both will be cooking together. This happens in Connecticut. But please shoot me an email if you ever want to collaborate. Just say hello to me. Come and cook with me. Just email me at chef@chefprasad.com. It's chef@chefprasad.com. We'll put a menu together. We'll have a lot of fun. It's all about bonding. I want to create our relationships. Like, there are so many great individuals here. We work hard on this. And I want to put all of us together on one platform. And thank the Indian Consulate for doing this.
Thank you to our esteemed panel for everything. We learned so much new stuff about the restaurant industry and food in general. And now we'll pass it on to Radhika. Thank you.
Thank you, Anu. Before we proceed to the next session, may I please invite on stage Mr. Abhishek Singh to present a little token of appreciation to our esteemed panelists. Can you kindly please stay for a couple of minutes on stage, please? I know we're running short on time. We'll try to make it really quick.
So much, enjoyed so much.
So good.
Journey and
I learned
how you guys want to collaborate.
amazing.
Okay, so let me start with Shah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Since you have to run to your restaurant. Ronnie.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Okay, so we'll really be quick. So we'll move on to the next panel discussion, which is on Spirits of India. And I would like to invite and introduce the next panelist, Mr. Edwin Soto. He is the Director of Sales USA SG Worldwide Brands. And he has been a valued member of SG Worldwide, having served as State Market Manager and Regional Director of Sales across multiple states. With extensive experience spanning both distribution and supply chains, his primary objective is to foster business growth through the cultivation of robust market relationships. And Eddie visited Rampur Distillery during his tour in India. Mr. Sanjay Malhotra, he is the founder of Eastern Liquors USA. Founded in 2010, Eastern Liquors is an importer and distributor of wine, spirit, beer, and wines from India, such as Godawan, single malt whiskey, and Sula wines. Sanjay and the company both have a vision: everything's better when we are together. Mr. Saurabh Abrol, he is the founder and CEO of Le Malt Hospitality, boasts over 20 years of entrepreneurial experience, leading WineShuttle.com and earning nominations for Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year with the latest venture, Le Malt Imperial, a private social club in Staten Island, New York. And last but not the least, Ms. Paula Lucas. Paula is a national mixologist and NYC account specialist for Smoke Club Vodka Envy Group. A veteran of the hospitality industry, she's an award-winning mixologist and beverage consultant who has received fantastic press for her cocktails. Paula has run several successful beverage programs, teaches cocktail classes, and loves being a part of the hospitality industry. She's right now promoting vodka from India, Smoke Lab. So we'll just begin the session. Please kindly have a seat. And I will be moderating it, so please forgive me. This is my first time moderating, so if I make any mistakes. Welcome you all. I would begin the session posing a general question to all of you, and I would kindly request if you could just limit it to like 2 minutes, under 2 minutes each. First question. What inspired you to enter the spirits industry, and how has the industry changed since you first started your business? We can go from Eddie, Sanjay.
Can you guys hear me?
Take mine.
How about now? Thank you, everybody. So I actually am an accountant by trade, and I realized 90 days into it that I'm not an accountant. Most accountants I know have the personality of a stop sign. So I knew that wasn't my industry. So I started in the wine industry at first. That's when I first started, and went to Napa Valley, California, started my training there, and fell in love with the industry. Met some great people along the way, and kind of graduated into where I am right now, which is the spirit world and international spirit, so I'm excited about it.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Hi, thank you very much, Consul General, for organizing this event, because this was something that I was always looking for, that how we can come together with the restaurant industry. So my background is completely different. I'm not at all from the beverage industry. I came to this country in 1990 as a computer professional and started working with all the investment banks. Until 2000, I was working with the investment banks, but then I started my own company in the IT space, where we started doing the call center work. But somehow it happened that around 2006, actually, my brother, he migrated from India, and he was in the beverage industry. When he came over here, so we were discussing that what is stopping the Indian beverage industry to have a strong footing in this country. Because there were some of the small players who were bringing like one or two products into this country, but like never had a big footprint. So in 2010, we formed this company, Eastern Liquors, and the first brand that we brought at that time was from a company called Mohan Makins, which was making an iconic brand, Old Monk Rum. So with the success of Old Monk Rum, we thought that, okay, the same thing can be done with the other products. So we started approaching all the other suppliers in India. And we got the confidence from companies like USL, which now is Diageo India. We worked with the Seagram, which has become a Pernod Ricard now. We worked with the Sab Miller, which has become an Anheuser-Busch now. So over the years, when we started working with all these companies and started bringing their products and start introducing that to the retail outlets, so we started getting like a good support from the retail outlets. But we were still not there with the on-premise, which I say like is the restaurant industry. Because as I was talking to Consul General, that there was a little bit of a hesitation with the Indian restaurants to introduce like the Indian brands. We could sell like in all Indian restaurants, like all regional Indian cuisines. Like no Indian restaurant owner sitting over here has ever tried to sell like a French cuisine in an Indian restaurant. But like that's the irony in our beverage industry, that when we are opening up an Indian restaurant, we are trying to sell a French wine. We are trying to sell a Macallan over there, over like an Indian single malt, which are available. 15 years back, understandable that the products were not available. But now, all the premium products are available. All new age products are available from India. So I would only like to see that down the road, Indian restaurants, we see a lot of Indian brands and Indian brand make cocktails, because we have all the support from all our suppliers that whatever Indian restaurant needs here in New York or anywhere globally, please tell them so that they can support the Indian restaurants in whatever way to promote the Indian brands and make them a global brands. And that's all what I would like to say.
Thank you, Consular General, for having me here. It's a pleasure and it's an honor. Anjali, thank you for calling me the other day for this opportunity. After hearing the previous panel, I don't own Indian restaurants, but now I want to open an Indian restaurant. I have Mexican restaurants, I have steakhouses, and private social clubs. Hopefully the next one will be an Indian restaurant. My journey started with my parents migrating to the US in the mid-90s, and my dad coming to the country and grabbing a newspaper and saying, circling a classified ad for a liquor store. So really the journey, my journey, even when I was very young, I was 16 years old back then, I used to go to the liquor store after school and really trying to like just kind of learn. It was very fascinating. And then when I got into college from 1998 to 2002, 2002, yes, I was working with my dad right after college, not partying, not doing anything, and really trying to learn the business from stocking shelves, from being a cashier, just from ground up. And really, it's, you know, my dad has really inspired me to really take the business, the alcohol business with Wine Chateau to the next level with the online and multiple locations. However, trends change, retail changes, and I think, and I believe strongly that the future of really hospitality is restaurants, and the future of drinks like Godawan and Rampur and a lot of these Indian brands, amazing brands, are to be poured in mainstream restaurants, not just Indian restaurants. But I'll get to that later on. But over the last 25 years being in the spirits industry, I've seen a lot of changes.
Hala?
Hi. The way I got into it is like most people when I was in school, oh, it's a way to make extra money. It was before the whole mixology and brand ambassador phase and all social media, so it was a very different time. And then I realized, I said, oh, I like doing this. I can bartend, I can chat away, and I can make money. You know, and I've worked daytime. I'm not really a sit-at-your-desk type of person. And as the mixology and the different brands came along, I said, oh, this is really interesting. And I started taking classes and just to learn more about spirits and wine, et cetera. And it's all really about hospitality to me. Which is I really, really enjoy. And then I was asked, oh, can you create a cocktail menu? It was like 20-something years ago, and I was just like, okay, I'll give it a try. And then it was really successful, and I got a lot of press, and just, you know, a lot of it was about networking and working in different restaurants, and I would learn from the kitchen, and then it started being, oh, let's use fresh herbs, you know, let's use fresh juices. Whereas when I first started in this, it was like, yeah, you got sour mix on a gun, you know, type of thing, and you had your woo-woos, and you had your sex on the beach, and not exactly, I mean, not that they were bad, but not exactly the quality cocktails that you can do today. And then I started doing brand work, and, you know, I love creating cocktails, and I love, you know, meeting people, and I just stayed in the industry because it's what I actually really enjoy doing it.
That's wonderful. That's really very nice. So, Mr. Soto, I would like to ask you about Indian whiskeys. What do you think? What specific characteristics or elements you think differentiate Indian whiskey from other whiskey-producing regions around the world, making it stand out in the global whiskey market?
Absolutely. So one thing about me, so as an outsider, meaning you know, my background is I'm a Latino, and I'm working for an Indian company, and it's very unique. I get a very unique perspective because I handle about 30 states that we're in. And so I get different points of views from all different sides. And I'll tell you this, there's a secret in India that is unleashed, it's going to be unleashed to the world. And the whiskeys and the many more brands that are coming out of there are absolutely amazing. So you have something there that's very unique around the world. And the reason I say that is because simply of where it's produced and what's the big deal about it. What's the difference between Scotch whiskeys and Indian whiskeys and this and that? Basically, it's nature and science working together. Because of the areas that it's in, you're in a unique area. Now, all the Indian whiskeys fall under the same umbrella when it comes to this. The maturation process speeds up about 4 to 6 times faster in India than most places on earth. Let me say that in a different way. If it takes Macallan 18 years to do it, it takes Rampur or Godawan, other whiskeys, you know, 1/3 the time. So if you can do 1/3 the time than other places on planet Earth, you definitely have an advantage there. And The fact that the quality doesn't change, it's amazing. It's actually a step up. It's very luxurious. Indian whiskeys have been in magazines. We've been on Whiskey Advocate magazine. We've been on several different panels, and it's been talked about. It's on fire. Go to YouTube and type in Indian whiskeys, and you're going to see how many reviews are out there, and 99% of them are positive. So that's an absolute amazing thing that we have going on. We feel we're in the right time, in the right industry, and we just need more support from the community. Because, like, again, we go through the same thing. You know, a lot of times, you know, we walk into Indian establishments and they're like, nah, I got Johnny Walker. I don't need Rampur. I'm okay with that. We need that community to come out. Hey, listen, you know what? Let's support this. This is something that's amazing. It's unique. And the world, trust me, the world is asking for this. You know, we walk into places in different parts of the United States, and Toronto and Canada and all that stuff, and they asking for this particular brand, and why is it so different? So I'm really excited to be part of that.
Thank you. It's really fascinating to learn about the uniqueness of Indian whiskeys. I was not aware of all this meaningful information. Sanjay, I have a question for you. The recent launch of Godawan Single Malt, which won the Best Whiskey Award at the London competition, coupled with India's award-winning single malt whiskey, Indri, acknowledged as the fastest growing in the world. It leads me to ask you, why Taste and Spirits of India now?
That's a very good question. That's an excellent question. Why Taste and Spirit of India now? And again, I would thank the Council Journal and all the council sitting over here who thought about this idea and arranged this event. First of all, I would just like to again point it out that there has been a lot of efforts being done by the Indian tourism, have been done by the various cultural organizations in India, which have really promoted the concept of the rich heritage of India, the diverse traditions of India, and the real vibrant cultures of India. We have been seeing all those things all over. But nobody has really pointed it out till today that India has become a net importer of scotch and whiskies to an exporter of a premium spirits. And that is the big achievement for a country like India, which was not even exporting any premium whiskies. And I think so the time is right again that we all need to work together, and we need to have these events like Spirits of India. Because if we see the current market for Indian spirits is at $55 billion. By 2027, it's going to be expected to be 73 billion. That means that we are going to see almost like a 30% increase year over year. That we will be seeing in the market, 30% total in the 4 years period. And that is a tremendous achievement for the Indian industry. And I think this is the time that if we all work together and bring these Indian products to the global platform, because India has already proven, as my colleague over here from the industry has already pointed out, that we have won a lot of competitions already worldwide. Rampur has won those awards. Godawan has won. Indri has won. Indri has sent that word in the social media very well as the fastest growing brand, but all other brands have got the awards of the best whiskey in their categories. And that is a big achievement for India. And I certainly feel that's the reason that why the Spirits and Taste of India should be here. And again, thanks to everybody who are organizing these events regularly. And I've been told that the next event is going to be in Boston. And we would definitely like to participate over there and see how we can keep working hand in hand with our Indian restaurants and keep promoting the spirits of India all over. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I will move on my focus from the whiskeys to the essence of hospitality now. And I have a question for Mr. Abrol. What's important about hospitality for you, and what do you believe are the key factors that have contributed to your success and longevity in the industry?
So everyone has a different definition of what hospitality means. For me, growing up and really transforming our alcohol liquor stores into our restaurants, I had to come up with my own definition. And those definitions really derive from these 6 elements. It's price point, service, you got great food, good tasting food, you got great cocktails, drinks, such as, cocktails that we serve. We have a Smoke Lab saffron-infused martini at Maximoto, and everyone loves it. Not just the Indians that are coming there, everyone loves it. Then you have location and ambiance, right? Those are my definitions of hospitality. And to be really successful, I've learned over the last 25 years is having a great team. If you guys are all, all the amazing owners of Indian restaurants, other businesses, you have to have really good team behind you. You can't do it all by yourself, right? And that's really what I believe. And I've built that team over many, many years to make sure that they're loyal, honest, hardworking, and they work for the company, not myself. And, excuse my language, shit always flows uphill to the leader. Everyone here in this room who has a business has dealt with a lot of crap on a daily basis. My phone doesn't ring because of my management team. That management team makes sure that they have the tools and the knowledge and the ability to handle issues, problems. So the only time my phone rings is I got to give my kids extra screen time. That's pretty much it. So really the success is due to a great loving family at home, as well as my management team that I absolutely love.
Well, you're a very lucky man. Paula, I would like to know, India is not widely recognized for vodka. So how did you find about this product? Tell us about Smoke Lab Vodka a little bit.
I hadn't heard about Smoke Lab Vodka until they contacted me. I was chosen as part of one of the Chilled 100 from Chilled Magazine. It's a select group of bartenders across the country, and they said, oh, here's a bottle of this vodka. We'd like you to create a cocktail for the magazine. And I was like, okay, I haven't heard of it, but sure. And they said it was made from basmati rice and Himalayan spring water. And I was like, oh, I've never had an Indian vodka before. I've had Indian whiskey and gin. So I said, this is great. And I created it, and it got really good press. And then Smoke Lab contacted me. They said, oh, we'd like to talk to you to see how we could work together. And I said, okay. They took me to lunch. We had a lovely lunch and a talk. And then they said, could you do some sales? We know you're behind a bar as well. And then they said, we'd like you to be our national mixologist and create cocktails for our different vodkas. And I said, sure, because that's what I love to do. And I'm very picky in what I put in my cocktails. And I just love Smoke Lab because it's smooth, and it's also a really good price point when I'm running a beverage program, which anybody who has a business knows, especially nowadays, it's extremely important. There is, I know some people say vodka is vodka, but I disagree, not just because I'm working with Smoke Lab. I do think there is a difference. Besides our classic, we also have aniseed, but it's not like an overpowering sense of anise. It's very light and clean and smooth. And our newest one is saffron. And as you know, saffron, it's made from Kashmiri saffron, which is a very, very expensive spice.
Right.
Most chefs, when they have it in the kitchen, they'll hide it. When I ran the beverage program at Noor, which was Israeli Middle Eastern restaurant, it was like, oh, all the spices, don't you touch the saffron. That's not for a cocktail. I was like, oh, okay. So I was thrilled when they came out with it, and it just works really, really well, and I'm proud to work with them, and I love creating cocktails with them and putting them in beverage programs. It's also priced for house vodka as well, and they contacted me, and that's how it happened.
That's wonderful. So before opening the floor to the Q&A, I would like to ask one last question. Maybe you all can share your input on it. And I'm very keen on knowing how can Indian spirits and wines and beverages be popularized in the US? Like, how can Indian spirits be popularized, especially to the people other than non-Indians or not of Indian origin?
Social media. Sorry.
30 seconds to each of you.
I think social media, Paula, you're right. The newer generation has a very small attention span. Being said that, social media, you can't just showcase just a cocktail. You can't showcase just your food. You have to tell a story. You have to entertain people. And I think that's the way to get through to the next generation, because that's your new future customer.
So as two of the panelists have already said, like the social media, that is definitely a good thing. But my view on this is that I would like people to taste the product and form a feedback rather than me telling them something only on the social media. Social media, I can introduce them, but like the regular tastings that we do at all the stores, wherever we want to sell the product, whether it's on-premise, off-premise, we do the regular tasting events, and that is where the people get to taste the product and form an opinion about it. And we need to do a lot more of that, whether those are retail premises, on premises. Again, request to all my restaurant friends, do a lot of tasting events at your places at our cost and introduce the products, introduce the brands to people who are coming in the restaurants. That's how they will really like or dislike a brand, and that will really help the industry to grow.
They all said what I was going to say. Social media, definitely lips to liquid, liquid to lips, actually. That's definitely what you want to do. Have samplings at your restaurants, have events, whether it's smoke and whiskey, or if you smoke lounges, or if you have a whiskey dinner and pairings with the chef. Definitely, that's the way to get it out there, outside of social media, of course. Having the right public, relations people also helps out too. But definitely want to have social media influence out there.
Well, thank you. I would like to open the floor for question and answers. Anybody, members of the audience, have any questions, please feel free to ask. Please share your name and company name. Yes. Yep.
My name is Arvind. I'm co-founder and CEO for a startup called Data Intellect. I use artificial intelligence implement technology. And I recently did an event with Asian American Hotel Owners Association, which is AHOA. And I don't know, fun fact, 60% of the hotels are owned by Indian in USA. So that's a fun fact. My question to you, Saurabh, and especially when I deal with a lot of Indian businesses, especially in digital marketing space, there is a hesitation, or I would say a glass ceiling of spending marketing dollars, especially when it comes to Indian restaurants and to industries which are owned by that. So what is an advice which you would give in order to, and how important is marketing in this space?
Great question. So marketing is the heartbeat of your success of any kind of business. I know this. I'll use a very, very vague and common example. I don't know how popular this brand is in New York, but in New Jersey, I don't know if you've heard of Ray Katina, right? So I know Ray and his son-in-laws and sons for a long time, and what he believes is that he wants to be in front of people all the time, whether it be magazines, billboards, Instagram, Facebook, TV. He wants to be in front of people. So if there's a budget, you got to put a lot of budget towards marketing, but you also have to think about the new age of customers that are coming, and you have to evolve your marketing strategies according to your new customer. So really, to go back what I was saying, Instagram for us, for Maximoto and Lamalt, has been instrumental in building an audience that it's just, we've been blessed. With Anjali and she coming to Maximoto and really blowing us up on Instagram really helped build that audience like any other influencer. So that is really the approach, that marketing is very, very important.
Anyone else? I guess this is it. So thank you all for being a part of this panel discussion. And we would love you to be appreciated and acknowledged for your presence here today. So I would kindly request our Honorable Consul General, Mr. Binaya S. Pradhan, to please come on stage and hand over you guys a special token of appreciation. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. Thank you once again. May I please invite on stage our Council Trade, Mr. Manish Kulhari, to deliver his vote of thanks, please.
Good evening, everyone. I think after hearing so much about the taste of India and the beverages of India, your taste buds are active right now. So I will not take much time, but really it was a fantastic session. And I would like to thank people who are behind organizing this event. First of all, I want to thank the person who gave this wonderful idea that we should bring people from this sector. And that person is our Consul General, Binay S. Pradhan. So he asked us to bring the best of the persons, the expert people who are in the hospitality and restaurant business, and to know their views about how Indian food is doing in USA, how Indian beverages are doing in the USA, especially in this tri-state and the states which are under our jurisdiction, and how we can promote these products in the US market. I also thank Deputy Consul General, I think he left, to take forward this idea and helping us in organizing this event. In fact, I know that our Consul General is also having an idea that this should not be limited only to New York. And this is only the beginning, and we will carry such kind of events to other places in our jurisdiction like Boston, like Philadelphia, like Connecticut. So we all need your partnership in that again. So let's start this journey. And I would also like to thank Abhishek sir, who is here coming from India. And I know his schedule is very hectic. Despite that, he accepted our invitation. And not only invitation to join us, but as a speaker. And let me tell you about Abhishek sir, that he is the one person who is in the ministry who ensures that Indian products are promoted across the world. And he ensures that everyone should get the opportunity to do that. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank all the panelists and moderators who shared their experience of how they have brought the flavors of India to this place, to US market, and how they are making Indian food and beverages popular day by day. So I'm not taking their names, I may miss few of them, but I think you know all the people. So again, thank you very much to the panelists and the moderators. I also want to thank a few restaurants like SAR, Sema, Dhamaka, Chand Palace, Lore, Tegmo, Sukhadia, Javitri, Ayosam Foods, Route to India, Jazz Cuisine, and La Pasteleria, who brought their signature dishes today, which you will all taste in the ballroom downstairs. They were very kind enough to immediately accept our idea of having the variety and diversity in the food which we will have today. Thank you all of them. I would also like to give my biggest thanks to my team members, Radhika and Sonalji. They are amazing team members. So we are organizing a lot of events like this, and they are the backbone who do a lot of work right from planning to execution. I want to especially thank Ms. Radhika, who has done tremendous work for this event. So much so that we said to her that you cannot be off screen and off stage in this event, so we made her a moderator so that she can feel that she is involved in the whole journey, starting from planning to the execution stage. I would also like to thank all the team members of our consulate who are working since morning to make this event successful. Last but not the least, I would like to thank every one of you who joined us today. Normally what happens is that we get worried by the number of RSVPs in other events, that by the less number of RSVPs we get, and that's the time we get worried that we have to call more people. But this time we were worried, but because of the high number of people. So thanks to you, because we were having more than 100 RSVPs in this event, and we were thinking how should we do the seating arrangements and all that. So yes, big thanks to you all for coming and joining in this event. Thanks to everyone who is here. Now I think we can taste the food, we can taste the beverages of India. So I would request everyone to, dinner is downstairs, so you can join for dinner. Thank you very much.